Welcome to Pencils and Lipstick. This is a podcast for indie authors. I'm Kat Caldwell, novelist, short story writer, and book coach. Here on Pencils and Lipstick, we're obsessed with all things story, and it is my goal to bring you the writing tips that you need to make your novel
Welcome
come
back
to life.
Pencils and Lipstick. This is Kat Caldwell. I am Kat Caldwell. This is episode 266 of the podcast, and it is April 28th as it goes out. Today, I have an interview with Greg Keogh from Curios. I've talked a little bit about Curios a couple weeks ago when I was talking about some interesting people and companies that I had met at the conference, the Writers MBA conference. So today we're going to talk about their direct sales platform. They have a really interesting way that they are trying to help authors. And if you hear the word, the term direct sales, and you think I am not there yet, because everyone says you have to have a big backlog, please continue listening, because the way that they have set it up is it really makes direct sales accessible to everyone, even if you only have one book, which is kind of cool. And he will get into it, Greg will get into it, but they are trying to help us keep as much money as possible, which is awesome. They can't help us with the government taking our money and our taxes, but for everything else, they are really focused on helping authors and creators keep their money, which is really fun. I think it's a really good episode. You're going to learn a lot. The links are in the show notes below. And as Greg said, if you sign up and you have any questions, you can write at support@curios.com. I think his is also greg@curios.com. Support pretty much goes to him. I know, because I have asked many questions, and they're really, really responsive. Like, you're going to get a lot more help than if you choose to go to Shopify or other places. And there's nothing wrong with going to those places, but I have started to use Curios, and I am really impressed by what they are doing. So I am actually going to be using Curios for my ARC readers. It is the 28th of April. So my book, Across the English Channel, I don't know why I can't remember the title, Across the English Channel, has gone out to my ARC readers, and we are using Curios for that. I am going to actually, still the link is still open if you want to join. If you can read a book in a month, and it's about 300 pages, formatted and all that. But if you like historical romance, you can still sign up. I'm not going to really close it. I really appreciate anybody reading the book and sort of giving it a review and sort of helping me push it forward into the world. I'm excited about this book. I had a lot of fun writing it. I mean, I had my own frustrations writing it, right? But as I was editing it, I was just like, I just really love Philip. Like, he's a fun, like, real person, with real flaws, but like sincere love for the people around him and good sense of humor. I just really like him. I've always liked him. Like, I really, when he appeared in Stepping in the Across the Desert, I was just like, I just like this guy. and I kind of wanted to write his story, but it took me a while. Just took me a while. So his story's out, and I'm really excited about it. And I'm actually almost done with, I had an idea for one in between. It's like the origin story of Lionel and Claire, which is coming in the third book. I couldn't think of an origin story for Philip and Carmen, which is this current book. So like a little novella. But for anyone who signs up for the ARC team, even now, once that novella gets formatted and edited and all that, you will be the first to be able to read it. And it's a really fun story because they fall in love at 24, and then the whole novel is about their second chance at love. Okay, I should be really talking up Across the English Channel right now and not Across the Thames, which is the third one. Across the English Channel is the one that is coming out May 27th. So, if you guys want to check out Curios and how it works, I also have a link below to Bended Dream. That is the novella, the origin story of For Bended Loyalty. So you guys can go and you can go get it for free. can just claim it for free for the next probably 3 weeks. So as far as this week and life and all that, like I am pretty much in it for the launch. The spring like sprint is over as far as I know, as far as I hope it is. I actually have a really cool workshop coming up with a friend of mine. Rebecca Dolans is going to be teaching us about how we can use the creatures of mythology and legend in our modern storytelling. So if you want to go to that, which is really cool, and it's only $37, you should get on my newsletter, because that is where you will get a direct link to it. I'll probably have a direct link to it in next week's show notes, but not this week's. But you should get on my newsletter, obviously. So I actually have not been super active on Substack, but if you want to support my work and the podcast, you can support me on Substack, and you get access to my short stories and the critiques that I get. And I should be getting a new critique soon. Yeah, the contest should be critiquing at some point. Yeah, because it's almost May. Oh my goodness. So yeah, if you want to hear what judges have to say, and why I never haven't won yet. Anyway, it's not a big deal. I'm not bitter. So May is kind of that month where if you have anybody graduating, it's a killer month. Lots of schools are getting out. And I just want to encourage you to keep up with your writing if you are working on a project. It is okay to, get just a few minutes in every day. One thing that I've been starting to do is to write down the ideas of what scenes come next, not writing out the scenes and not even writing out an outline, but literally a brain dump on how I see that scene in my head in the moment. No grammar is needed. In fact, a lot of times I just dictate it. And if you use Whisper notes, it will actually like email it to you, your dictation. Yay. But I've been doing that because, a lot of times you just have an idea of a scene, and I don't know about you, my fingers are slower than my brain. And so by the time I'm kind of like in the middle, sometimes the scene is going the wrong way. Sometimes, a turnoff is good. But sometimes it's like, okay, what do I want this scene to wrap up as? And I usually have a better idea of that at the beginning of the writing session than I do at the end. And so a lot of times my brainstorms too, I can see a whole scene coming out, but in words, it's actually way longer than it is in imagination. And so then I can consult my notes on like, oh, this is how it needs to end in order to transition. And then, so we need to sort of condense this, right? Or this is getting boring or whatever. Asterisks, skip to the next part. And that has actually been helping me. And I think that might be something that will help you as life gets busy and we go into summer. You can take that time to just sort of brain dump what you see. A lot of times we'll see something when we're like gardening or we're watching the kids on the trampoline or whatever, but you don't want to like be there with your computer. So just sort of brain dump your scenes and, feel like you're getting your ideas out and you're sort of able to add to your book, even if you're not able to write. And then that will help you in the moment that you're able to write and you're like half dead because it's 9:30 at night. But you kind of want to write a little bit more and you won't feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to write. And then you start scrolling TikTok and then all of a sudden it's 1 a.m. and you really have to go to sleep. And I'm not speaking from experience at all. Anyway, I just want to encourage you to keep trying, keep writing, keep getting out there. And I will probably be taking some manuscripts in the summertime. I'll let you guys know. If you just need somebody to look at it, if you need somebody to brainstorm with, that is like my cup of tea. I just love that. And I love it that it helps writers so much to talk to somebody else about it. Somebody who is trained in editing and in storytelling, and just for them to see where the book needs to go next, or what else is a possibility, or, how their draft is, if you want me to look at the draft. And for me, editing, my prices are pretty accessible so that it doesn't have to be a full book, because sometimes we need some help before the book is finished, right? Okay. But anyway, that's just like a prelude to mid-May or so, or maybe even closer to end of May. I will get you guys more information about that if you are interested. You can always follow me on Instagram at author_Cat Caldwell, on TikTok, which is way more fun these days, I find, than Instagram. Probably because I get more views there. Anyway, that's probably why. Author.catcaldwell on TikTok. You can always go to my website, catcaldwell.com. You can hit the contact, and that goes to my email. If you're on my newsletter, you can just hit reply to any newsletter and ask me the questions that you want to ask. We are going to have some awesome interviews coming up in the next few weeks for the month of May. You are definitely not going to want to miss them. Like another editor is going to tell us, what she's seen and give us some tips. We are going to talk to Spoken Press, which is an audiobook business, which I think is so cool. And we're going to kind of do like a walkthrough, and it's just going to be so much fun. And then we have the author Nancy Christie. We're just going to have lots of people. It's going to be so much fun. So be sure to like and subscribe wherever you are listening. If you want to see me, if you want to see my guests, you can go to YouTube and see us there. Otherwise, let's get on and hear about Curios from Greg, because I am excited about this product. I know that you will be. And I think this is a product that even us, like smaller authors, might not have like a 50 books in our backlog, can use and not lose money with, which is really fun. Okay, let's get into the interview. Okay. Hi, everyone. We are here with Greg Keogh from Curios. Hi, Greg. How are you doing?
Doing awesome. Thanks for having us.
Yes, I'm very excited to share with my listeners all about Curios, because I am a new client, I guess, on Curios, because we met a month ago, maybe.
Yeah, we met in person a month ago at Writers MBA, and then we had a call prior to that, which was funny because then I was telling the audience, I was like, I know you, and I was like, why do I know you? And I was like, was it from a different conference? And then you reminded me after,
you're traveling too much. All of the indie author conferences. So let's get started in what Curios is. Maybe a little background on the company.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So Curios is a place, if we're talking specifically about authors, it's a platform for authors to sell their work directly to their readership. And so when we say direct, we mean that in the absolute truest sense of the word. So if you get a sale on Curios, you get 100% of that sale. You sell an ebook for $10, you get $10. Sell an audiobook for $14.99, you get $14.99. We don't take a cut of that. And in addition, direct means you get to know who your reader is. If you were to operate your own website, you get all this information behind every sale, every transaction, every visit of the site. We share that with the authors as well. So for every sale, you get their email address, and then you can also get a little bit more information, kind of depending on depending on how you use the platform. But you at the very least get the email address and 100% of the sale. And then it's always worth mentioning, because it's actually not obvious in this industry, but you keep 100% of your IP and your copyright. You're not signing over the rights to your work in any way. It remains your work. You're just getting all the benefits of direct sales.
Which is like pretty unique, isn't it?
We think it is unique, but we're bringing we're almost all engineers on the team. So we're bringing what we know about creating websites and living in the digital age to authors, in the sense that when you create a website, you always get those things. So if I'm selling something on my own website, I get 100% of the sale. I get the contact information. I get their analytics about how they browse, what they did. And then I also get to deliver them my content directly, right?
Right.
And on top of that, there's also a lot of elements of control. So you're in control of your content at all times on Curios. We have a back-end platform where you can manage your work. So if you want to change a description, you change a description. If you have a typo or something in the ebook file, or a mispronunciation in the audiobook file, and you redo it, you can just re-upload it, and it automatically populates among anyone who's purchased and any new buyers. Just makes it kind of
Really?
easy. Yes.
Wait a
So
minute. So if you re-upload it, it lets them know to re-download it. How does that work?
yes. So basically, if they're reading it in our ecosystem or listening in our ecosystem, it's automatic. And then if they're doing it offline on like a Kindle or Book Funnel or any of the apps that we support for reading and listening, then they're going to have to basically re-download. If it's Kindle, we just resend the file. So that's actually pretty easy.
Really? Because even Amazon doesn't do that.
No, they don't, of course. But they're you have to remember that a lot of the existing platforms are built kind of in old models
Okay.
where they they keep the reader information from you.
Mm-hmm.
They limit your control in a lot of ways. It's like, well, you
Mm-hmm.
upload the stuff and then that's it. It's uploaded,
Yeah.
and maybe you do a new version if you want to change something. But
And
that's
nobody knows
particularly
you did one.
useful for that. I forget what you call it, but the inside cover when you like update your work of
Yep.
other. So you write more books over time. You might want to update that page,
Yep.
and it's easy to do that way. But it kind of
That's
stems from us again trying to give you total control. We want you to
yeah.
be in charge. It's your work. They're your readers. We just want to kind of change the game.
That's actually like I'm a little stunned right now because that's really cool. I
You thought
if
you knew everything about us, and
I
here we
know, here I
are.
am. Like, I guess because I've been in it for so long, you just think like, well, Amazon seems, I mean, they have a lot of the marketplace. So we put up with a lot of crap from them, right? Like
Yes,
people will be on KU. I have no idea who my readers are on KU. I have no idea who they
exactly
are,
right.
what they're doing, why. Like, I can't even tell if an individual finished it. I only know the like average page read,
Right,
which is crazy. Like, how do I not? I don't know if that's 1,000 people reading one page or
right.
like one person reading all the pages and, whatever. It's kind of like we really don't know that much. And I remember back in 2017, a lot of us, when I realized that if I re uploaded it because I had a typo, that didn't matter. Like, nobody else was going to get it. It was just the new people that were going to get it, which was
Yeah.
so disappointing. Um, okay, that's very cool.
Yeah, that's yeah. A lot of those problems are what we kind of are setting out to solve. We want to put as much back on the side of the author as
Right.
possible. I
Okay.
don't think that the existing platforms are necessarily evil or intentionally doing anything wrong. It's more that they are serving the consumer at all costs, and that cost
Mhm.
happens to be at your cost right now.
Right. Yeah.
So we're
Yeah,
just making
absolutely.
sure we're serving both the creator and the consumer. And then there's a lot of ways that we do that. But
And I have to say, I think we also are not, as writers, we're not engineers a lot, so we're willing to give something else, like
right,
give it
yeah.
that until you guys show up. And then we're like, hey, if there's something better. So, if you are all engineers mostly, why did this become a thing? Like, why do you guys care about indie authors?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the founder of the company, he was a musician in some pretty large bands. He was in the bands Dawes and Lifehouse. He ended up leaving those because, as everybody kind of commonly knows, the music world is extremely difficult, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Absolutely no money for music. You have to play the live shows, and you barely get anything out of all that. So he ended up leaving both of those bands to get into tech. Started working, developing websites, made agencies, was very successful, worked at Google, worked for YouTube. His agency represented Spotify. So kind of
Wow.
lived in the digital content space very strongly. And then when it came time for Curios, we were looking at music in particular, and we were like, the whole industry largely is rotten for music. I think
Mm-hmm.
that books, authors and books have it a little bit better in a lot of ways, but
Yeah.
in the music industry, it's quite rotten. So we were like, all right, well, let's just flip everything on its head and not, it's basically just open the door. We're going to create a tool that people can use. If they
Mm-hmm.
want to use it, great. If they can't, no worries. And as we were working on this tool, I'm a pretty avid reader myself. So not for a lot of your audience, probably not anywhere close to how much they read, but I average one book every 2 weeks to two books every two
Mm-hmm.
weeks, something like that. And I kind of thought readers had it or authors had it great because I was like,
Mm-hmm.
well, compared to music, at least books do sell, you
Which is
know?
true. Yeah.
They do. So at least that's kind of nice. But then as we dove into that world, I realized that there were more and more issues, right?
Mm.
So Audible's 60% versus 75% is like, both are actually, in my opinion, horrible. It's like,
Yeah.
well, I'm picking between like really bad options. It's not very fun. And then the other thing I noticed was when Shopify acquired Findaway Voices and how KU works, those were both two huge red flags for me because I was like, oh, that's the music industry coming for books.
Mm-hmm.
And then not only that, that it's like to me it was almost a double red flag because I was like, well, that's the music industry model coming for books, but authors don't have what musicians have, which is the ability to go play live shows.
You're
So
right. Nobody
musicians
wants
are
to
like,
listen to us read.
for sure. It's not that, yeah, it's just not
It's
as
just
much
not a
of a
thing.
thing. And so in a way, it's a lot darker of a transition
Mm,
because the musicians are like, okay, well, ultimately I will give it out for free or I'll get these like micro pennies for listens, but that's going to fill my live shows. And if I fill my
mm-hmm,
live shows, I can make a living, I'll be good.
mm-hmm,
And in some cases, they make quite a living, right?
right.
But on the author side, I was like, ooh, this is going to be quite dark because now you're only in a streaming world and you're getting paid less than a penny per whatever it is. And so then it's one of those things where it's like, that's going to not end well. We need to also bring our model into this space, is kind of what we thought.
That's interesting. Yeah, because what's going to happen is the people who have the money or the backlist or the name, which I mean, and they've worked for it, right? They might be willing to put their stuff on their audiobooks on Spotify, but then the new people are like, I can't spend $5,000 for an audiobook to make pennies.
That's right. Yeah.
So it does it, and this is what happens to us all the time is we like it just sort of comes back down to the bigger names, just like in music, right?
Yes.
So you guys have made this space where people can sell directly. So like how does it differ? Because I would think most people know about Spotify, not Spotify, Shopify,
Yes.
right? A lot of people have been talking about Shopify. It's quite a, I mean, for a new writer, if you have one or two books, I think it's 50 a month,
Yeah,
unless
I
they've
think,
changed that.
about that.
So then how
Yeah.
else how do you guys differ from them?
Yeah, that's a great question because that is basically a good route right now for a new author if you want to start selling direct. Shopify kind of was one of the existing tools. So you make your own website, you can integrate a lot of great solutions like BookFunnel, like love BookFunnel. So you can integrate a BookFunnel and then now you're able to have a direct site, right? The way we would differ in a couple ways. One, we're easier to use, I think, than setting up a Shopify. So setting up a Shopify requires you to put a little bit of a developer hat on. They've made it easy, but you still have to manage your website, set the content up, write your descriptions, set up your pages, your flows, kind of make the places where your consumers go. There's a little bit of a difficulty there. There's also the cost. So on Curios, we do have premium plans available, but it's not required. So you can be on a free plan, and if you're selling your work, then free is perfect, right? So you still get the same benefits no matter what. You get 100% of the sale, you get your contact information, you maintain your rights, at all times, total control. That's all available to you for free. So you don't have to burden with the $50, a month payment to Shopify.
Right.
And that's pretty strong. Like, if you're just starting out, your sales might not match your cost on Shopify, and then you're running at a loss, which that's not something, we want to avoid that if we can,
You're right.
but sometimes you have to do it, right? So, that's all that. And then in addition, there's another way, and that's that Curios is still new in the book world, but as we're growing, we're still, we're growing at a nice rate. We're getting a lot of new readers claiming and buying a lot of new content. So you get the readers become accustomed to going to one place to get content. They get accustomed with the ecosystem, the app. How do I send it to my readers? Those sort of pieces. And when you have to get a reader to come to a unique place that they don't go frequently. So on your individual Shopify account, you'll be trying to bring readers there at new releases or periodically with newsletters or whatever it is, but they're not necessarily as accustomed to going to that place. So you have to get them to overcome the hurdles of going somewhere new. And it's pretty difficult. Newsletters it's not that bad to get people to go to to a website, just include a link. But if you're going from a social media, getting them to get off of their socials and go somewhere new, very hard to make happen. It requires a lot of effort. But if on a social you're telling them about a place that they've been before, or in kind of common examples would be like, just buy my book anywhere you buy books, that sort of thing. Then those readers know, okay, I'm going to go look for this on Amazon or whatever it is. But if they're accustomed to going to Curios, you say, buy it on Curios, it's available here, then that's easier. They do it later. They don't necessarily have to leave their scroll and go do that. So you get, long story short, you get kind of a network effect by being on Curios
Right.
because it's a larger marketplace.
Right.
So that kind of
Then
helps.
on Curios, can they, once they're there, like let's say I find somebody's book, can I find other people's books, or am I like, how does that sort of shop idea work? Is it kind of like
Yeah.
you're going straight to one person Shopify, or is it more like an Amazon experience?
It's it kind of, that's actually a little on the complicated side, but
Oh, okay.
it depends. So that's kind of where our paid tiers come in. If you pay us monthly, which I think the most expensive option I believe is like $34 a month or something like that. We'll have to look at that. But if you pay us monthly, then it's truly just like a Shopify, where if they come to any page you send them, they can only see your work. So they'll see the book that you were kind of driving them to, and they'll see other work by you, and only that. If you're on the free version, you drive them to a page and they see the work that you're driving them towards. And I can get into like which different pages you get available on Curios. But you drive them to that work, and then at the very bottom of the screen, there's like similar work, right? And so that's going to be other authors in the same subgenre and the same genre, or kind of things like that, based on like.
There's kind of pros and cons to both of those, isn't there? Like,
Yes, there are. Yeah. So it kind of depends. If you're running like a lot of marketing campaigns driving people to your page, you generally want to make sure that there's no option for them to convert to another author.
Right.
But
like,
if
only my book, only mine.
Exactly. And then also, though, there are advantages. So the user can browse, and then there's lots of good free content. Because we're 100%, authors have offered things for like lower prices, which is nice too. So it's nice on the consumer side. So basically, they get a good shopping experience, they get some good discovery, and that's all growing on Curios. So
you guys have quite a few people here. So like as a reader, because I signed up, like I have my books there, and then I signed up as a reader to see what like that experience too. But you can also go, like I can discover content, like I can go and onto the marketplace, right? Where I can go and search, just can I search for like genres, or can I search for like, how does that work?
Yes. Yeah. We actually have just kind of updated the site to include a lot more of that. So basically, you can go to the site, you can say, okay, I'm a romance reader, and I'm specifically a paranormal romance reader. You can go find that page, and it shows all of the work under that category.
So every author that's up, or the authors that are on premium?
Every author that's up, every single author that's up, free, premium, however that works, they all show up on the discovery pages.
Interesting. Okay.
On the premium side, you get a little bit of premium placement. So there's a certain amount of real estate that we save specifically for the premium users, and they show up there. But it's pretty fair. It's pretty egalitarian in that like all the content shows up for those categories. And then we have a ton of different sorting mechanisms. So we have like bestsellers, recent bestsellers, kind of trending. So books that have like high velocity in the moment. And we're just trying to make sure that people can find what they're looking for and find their next great read. So that as a company, we're spending a lot of time on that side.
Yeah.
So we started out being what we considered like a perfect bottom of funnel solution. So if you as the author are going to land a reader, we're trying to be the perfect solution for that. You get the 100%, you get their information, you have control over what's being delivered and how they can access it. And then now we're trying to grow to bottom and middle, where there can be some natural cross discovery.
Sure.
We are pretty careful with that, though.
Yeah, it's a fun thing to share with your readers as well. Like in between, lots of people have their own opinions about Amazon, but I do know there's a growing trend where people want to buy them somewhere else, because I think readers are finally realizing that we get like 30 cents.
I know. Yeah.
So that's a nice place to like go and find other books, right? Because like I don't want to keep people from reading. I can't make that many books.
Sure.
I need people to like go read other, and it's really cool. Like right here, Russell Nolte has his first of the Godverse Chronicles there. Yeah, I see that. And you guys have audiobooks as well.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Ebook and audiobook. And then we've got plans to add physical. We're hoping to have that wrapped up by the summer. And physical would
Okay.
be print-on-demand solutions, so Book Vault and Lulu integrations, where you as an
Wow.
author can integrate a print-on-demand, so that again we're not, having. The goal is to make things as passive as possible for you as the author,
Okay. Okay.
so that way when you get your pieces set up, the books can then just sell and deliver, and you can just focus on promotion and writing more books. Is kind of
That's
where we want you to
interesting.
focus.
Okay. So all these different integrations. So when people sign up for, so when I send it out to my readers, and say, here, go to buy directly from me, from Curios, what do they have to do? Because most of them are ebook readers. I would assume most of them have a Kindle, and I don't
Yeah,
know. Or
statistically,
like,
statistically likely they have a Kindle, but
or their phone,
yeah,
right? So,
yeah,
and there are a
phone,
lot of indie author readers who have book funnel, right? So there's kind of
yes.
like those apps. So what is their experience through Curios as the reader?
It's pretty straightforward, and we're working constantly to make it even more straightforward. So, but basically, the reader, if you say were to land, like you send a newsletter out with a link to your Curios page, they then go, they visit, they see the book that they want, they click the buy button, they enter their credit card information just like a normal e-commerce experience, and then they get delivered to the book. And when they're delivered the book, they're given a lot of options. So they can read it right there on the site. So if it's on a computer or on their phone, they can just read it right there on that
Mm-hmm.
page. They
Okay.
can also send it to an e-reader. So you can send it to Kindle, Nook, Kobo. You can send it to BookFunnel, the BookFunnel app, or you can read it in our app. So we have an e-reader on our app, and yeah, you get all those options. And then also, you as the author, you can specify whether or not you want to allow the book to be downloaded. That opens up the door to risk of dissemination, but in a lot of cases, like a first in series, authors won't mind. So you can choose whether they want to download or not. If you choose download, they have the option to download the EPUB file as well. So
Okay.
that's up to you, though. Whether you want to offer download or not is up to you. If you don't offer download, we take every effort possible to make sure that the book cannot be shared, that it's just single purchase, single access.
Sure.
So.
Sure. Everything we try to do. So is it pretty easy then for them to send it to their e-reader, or do we need to like
It's
tell
as
them
easy.
anything?
We have all the instructions for
Okay.
them. So use the author, don't. But it's as easy as the e-readers make it. So Kindle has a little bit tough of a process. They have to like go into their settings, add an email address to the settings, and then
Okay.
they hit send to Kindle and they're good to go. Every subsequent book they buy automatically shows up in the Kindle. So that's pretty easy. So you do it
Okay.
once, and we have very clear instructions on how to do it. So once you set that up, then it's like anything else you buy or claim goes direct, right? Just like
Okay.
pops into the Kindle right there. It's kind of easy.
Okay.
And yeah, our goal is to make it as easy as possible. And then on the audiobook side, similar deal where you buy the audiobook, you can listen in our app. That's, our preferred method for audiobooks. The app is comparable with any audiobook listening app, or you can send it out as well. So I think at this point, you can just send it to BookFunnel. We don't send it to Audible just because they're a closed garden. But
Yeah.
that's
how it is.
that's their business.
So there's nothing from Amazon. There was something this spring about Amazon and Kindles. There's nothing that has like blocked people moving their book. There was a freak out sometime.
Yes. Yeah. That freak out was related to if I bought a book on Kindle, like directly from Amazon, I now can no longer download the book. So it forces you to read it just within Kindle and within the phones. And it seems kind of normal because then
How
again,
is that a thing? Like, what?
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because that was people obviously could disseminate. They would give you a certain file type, but then there's like,
there's smart people out there to
it's
figure.
really it's not even that smart. You just go to Google and you say convert from this to EPUB and boom, it's done. And so yeah. So that's kind of what they
So that was actually pro author.
Yeah, that one was pro author, anti-consumer in a way, but it kind of goes to a lot of the reasons why we started Curios was like when you're buying digital content on a lot of platforms, you're pseudo renting it. If I I have bought movies on Amazon in the past that I now can't access because the rights left Amazon, they went to Netflix, whatever it is. And I have to then call Amazon and be like, hey, I bought this movie. It's not here. And they're like, oh, well, we'll give you a refund. It's like, you didn't think to do that automatically, right?
Right. No, why
Kind
would
of
we do that?
annoying. Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. But in a lot of ways, the consumer is renting the content, and
Yeah.
one of the goals of Curios is to make sure they have ownership of the content.
Okay.
So again, you're still in charge of whether they can download or not, but our promise is that they can access it in perpetuity. So we've
Okay.
set up a really elaborate distribution network to make sure that they access the book in perpetuity, that they can't, nobody can remove their access to anything they purchase that's digital.
Okay.
Kind of
Cool.
nice, but
Very
yeah.
cool. So when you're talking about we keep 100% of the profits, what does that mean for the reader? Like, are they, because I'm sure like you guys must make money somewhere.
Yes.
And
yeah,
then
that's a great question.
and then after that, I kind of want to talk about like the, what we're responsible for through the payment and all this, because this is what, so the questions I get when I did Kickstarter, because we need to now like nurture our readers, right, to go to a new
That's
place.
right.
So what is Curio's benefit, I guess, if you're not on the premium plan and you're free?
Right.
Like, what does this mean for readers?
Yeah. So a reader, when they go check out a book, so say, let's go to like a $10 ebook example, you as Kat, the author, get $10.
Okay.
The reader would pay more than $10. So they have to cover the credit card fee.
Okay.
So every credit card transaction has, I think, like a 2.9% plus 35 cents something. So they have to cover that fee so that it doesn't come out of your cut. And then on top of that, we add a fee. It's usually at about like 5% or less. So they might pay on a $10 book, they might pay $11. It looks, like it feels like tax. So at least in the US, everyone's pretty accustomed to that. And that does open the door for you to get the full 10. And hopefully the readers are supporting the author and they're not like, well, I get it for 10 on Amazon and 11 here. I'm going to, it's like give more to the, But so that's kind of how it looks on the reader side. So it ends up being a touch more expensive, but the credit card fee is what it is. And then our fee is what it is. Oh, and then also say you were to sell in the EU, we would then calculate the VAT and we'd put that on there as well. So they might pay more if it's an EU buyer, but again, we want to protect your retail income. Our
does
mission
that get put on, does that then change the, like it's upfront?
Yes. So that might be, they might have to cost, that might cost them like $11.30 because it has to cover that fee too. So you still end up with the $10, and that's like our number one mission. Okay. You get the full amount. And then the next, then that's how we make money. So we make that small fee there, and then we also have the premium products as well. So authors that want the added benefits, they can get them, and we're constantly adding more and more to the premium. We're trying to make that, as beneficial to the author as possible.
I mean, you got Willa Winters on there, so it must be beneficial.
Yes.
Didn't she break your site for her?
She did. Yeah. So that is actually kind of a funny story. So she was the first author that we spoke to. So we got really lucky in that the first author I was talking to about the platform, once we decided like, oh, hey, there's a problem in books, we need to get into books. She was the first one we spoke to. Didn't really know that much about her.
That's not your genre?
Not my genre, but and then also just didn't really know that much about her. And then, she's a wonderful person. She was like, I try any new platform. I'm happy to try. Let me know what you want from me. And we were like, oh, let's just do one book. Let's just see how the platform works. We'll upload one book. Basically trial, okay, does it work the same for audiobooks? Is it just for music? And how do we deliver the EPUBs and all that stuff? So we're working with her on this. And then while we're working with her on this is like in a 1 week time frames. We talked to her about 1 week later. She calls us and she was just like, YouTube just shut me out of nowhere. They said my content is porn and they just closed my account. So there was like, she had just gotten an award for crossing the 100,000 subscriber mark. Then YouTube said, oh, wait a minute, this is pornographic, even though she had she was in full compliance. She had this is 18 and up, she had the warnings about the content. It wasn't anything visual, it was just auditory. So it's like, it's just an audio book about romance, and it's like, not even that heavy, right? It's not erotica, it's still romance.
No, I know more people that are
like way spicier, right? Which, not a problem.
It's almost like YouTube wants to not exist anymore. It's very
so
strange.
crazy. Yeah. And so she said basically it just like is cold shutout. It wasn't like, oh, here's what you need to repair, just remove this piece of content and you're still good. It was like cold, done, forever, no way back. There's no repertory method. She just lost all of those subscribers, all that work that she worked to build up. That whole thing just shut down. So she was obviously like pretty upset.
Yeah.
Her readers were upset. Like the listeners, they don't want that.
Right.
Author doesn't want it, but then somehow YouTube decides that we don't care about what you guys think and blah, blah, blah. I could go on for hours about that.
That's so crazy.
But she was upset and she was like, I'm bringing everything to your platform because we're a completely open platform. So it's like, we want to serve the author and we want to serve their readership. So if the readers want a certain type of content, the author can give it to them. We don't, we don't care. So she was like, I'm bringing everything to your platform.
Did you know what everything meant?
No.
Okay.
So this is why the platform broke at the time. So
she has 100 books plus audiobooks?
No, she didn't technically. I guess she didn't. She brought everything that was on YouTube. So she brought at that time, I think she brought over just audiobooks and she brought over like maybe 15 audiobooks. And then she was like, they were free on YouTube. I'm going to give them away free here. And then that way the readership has the permanent access, right? It can't be revoked. Even if we were to kick Willow off the platform, the reader access cannot be revoked. We can't touch that. So she was like, I'm going to give them all away for free. These are like older works of mine. Everyone can have them. I don't really mind. She told her Instagram community about it. Again, we didn't really know. We know her. We liked her. We didn't really know what that meant. Then the next day we had a surge in traffic like we've never had before. And the site shut down. And it was just a minor lack of preparation on our side. And also the romance readers are a powerful force to be reckoned with, is all I can say about that. So then
she right now has 33 audiobooks on your website, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
And the thing that she has are like avid fans. So if YouTube like cut them off and cut her off, now emotions are running high,
they
right?
were like lighting the torches and getting the pitchforks. Like we want to see some heads on spikes,
Yes, they're gonna go and like make sure that she's okay. I mean, this has been what, 3 months, 4 months since she's been on
it? That was in September, I believe. September of last.
So September.
So now it's been a little bit more time, but yeah.
But she's gotten 12,000 of her followers to go to Curios. It's like
I think it's actually more. So those are people that then decided to follow her on Curios.
Right.
She's had a lot more than that. Well into the 100,000s of people come on, which is nice.
Right. So but like for people to actually go and like click that follow button and then, because that's so much work that she put into YouTube and now it's like to start over, I'm sure in the moment, like if you guys hadn't called before, where would she have gone?
I know. Lucky for both sides, honestly. Lucky for us, 'cause, like she's wonderful. I mean, she's now even though I'm not necessarily a romance reader, she's my favorite author because I know her.
She's just a nice girl. Yeah,
she's a wonderful person. But so she was able then to start. And then the other nice thing for Willow is so YouTube, when they deplatformed her, she lost that subscribership. And like fortunately there's a little cross subscriber action so she can still reach them on Instagram, she can still reach them in other ways, the newsletters, things like that. But on Curios, the author gets the email address, that's their information, you can download it. So there's no removal of that access either. So in some God forbid situation that will never happen, if Willow was to say be deplatformed here, she still has her entire readership. She can still reach out and reach them all directly anytime she wants. Again, just to be clear, we will never do that. That's not, we're an open platform. But that's kind of how we work and why we work. And then another reason why she was kind of excited to come on. But fortunately we got the site back up and running. I think it was within like maybe 1 hour. And then
that's what you're all engineers. So that's
exactly.
There's no worry there.
It was immediate panic and a lot of excitement.
If it was all writers, we'd be like, well, it didn't work. So, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
So then when we're talking about, I think most people as indie author readers, they understand like supporting the author is like part of the process. So they'll probably be all about like, I can cover, the few cents or whatever that goes into all that. So as far as like, who's responsible for the payment structure?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was the second part of the question. Yeah, so Curios is. And that's one
Okay.
of the, like, we didn't even know, again, this is us kind of our naivety as an engineer, didn't necessarily know the benefit we were providing in some of the ways. We were like, okay, if I have my own website, then I integrate these solutions, and then my taxes, my invoices, all of it's all just taken care of, just done.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so that Curios handles all the payment pieces. So we
Okay.
collect the payment from the reader.
Okay.
We then take the money, we split. So we split off to cover the credit card fee, we split to cover our fee, and then we deliver that amount to you. And there are certain terms for this that I don't know off the top of my head, but basically I think you can count it as a royalty payment to you. You're not responsible for the sale. So when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to doing taxes and the VAT and all of that stuff, you're not responsible for that. Curios handles all of those pieces. So you're just getting the mailbox money. You'll still have to pay taxes as income tax, but
Mm-hmm.
that's just your own normal responsibility. And we give you the
Right.
1099. We just say, hey, we gave you this much money in this year, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's up to you to then go file that.
Okay.
But all the other complexities, so like it's getting complex these days, but like whether a certain I forget what you call it, county in New Hampshire charges digital content tax, that
Yes.
falls on us, right? So
Okay.
and then the other piece that falls on us is the delivery. So I know on Kickstarter, you can pre-sell a bunch of books, you know, or bundle it however you want. And then comes the moment of delivery. Now you write the book, complete it, and then you have to get it out to everybody. Curios handles that delivery as well, right? So
Okay.
user pays, we handle the money, we handle the splits, handle the taxes, and then we handle the delivery as well, and the support of the delivery.
Yeah.
So if a user has an issue, say accessing the content or sending it to Kindle, they reach out to us and we handle that. So it doesn't fall on the author's shoulders. Sometimes there's a joint deal. One of the examples we just saw was basically the reader reaches out to you, reaches out to us, and then, you know, we reach out back to the reader, you reach out, you know, so sometimes that's the case, but
And she found the email, so it's fine.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sometimes it's just finding that email.
Yeah. And
Or just teaching people that it's not like there is a step, right? Like you have to find the email to get the book. Like it's not just like in the ether.
Yeah, exactly. No, definitely not. So that's one of the things where in some ways when you're direct, you might bear some of the support, but it's our
but very little, it sounds like. So if I set up a WooCommerce site on my website, which I tried once and then immediately shut it down because I was like, I am responsible for all of that, like to make sure that everything's working. If Stripe doesn't work suddenly or whatever, like everyone's going to be emailing me. That's why a lot of people who have directs are the people who have a team already. But this makes it so that I can set my stuff up and I don't really have to worry about a lot.
That's the goal. We want the long-term goal of ours is for you to just worry about writing more books.
Yeah.
That's our long-term goal. Right now, in the short term, you're going to have to worry about writing more books and marketing your existing books on Curios. You know, as I mentioned, we're working on the discovery pieces and those elements as much as possible. And as we're growing the readership, that will kind of come into play. But for now, you'll be responsible for promotion and for writing. But we're trying to alleviate so much of the other pieces that are involved with going direct, just to make it easy, you know?
Yeah. It's very nice because there are other direct options, but honestly, unless you have a team, it becomes a lot. Whereas like I literally joined you guys. I now have, I mean, some of it's just me, but I have 4 of the books up there. And then all I have to do literally, like I did it. I was like, it can't be this easy.
I saw this actually happen live on your account, believe it or not. So the night before I had checked your account, I saw 1 book on it, I believe. And I think that was a free claim. So I downloaded that one. And then the next day there were 3 more books. There's 4 books total. I was like, oh, there you go, Kat.
Literally so easy.
Yes.
And then I was like, no, it can't be that easy. So then I sent it out to my newsletter and I've only had 1 person miss the email. And then I checked, I was like, oh, so nobody went there. And no, that like people have downloaded it clearly without problems, because otherwise they would complain. Right?
They've downloaded, they're reading, they're listening.
Yeah.
They use it. Yeah. And it's
pretty awesome.
It's very nice to hear that actually as a team. I'm going to share that with our team because that's our goal.
I really honestly, I think, and I love BookFunnel. I think it's harder on BookFunnel to
That's
upload
actually
a book,
amazing to hear
honestly.
because we also love BookFunnel. That's why we partner with them. We integrate with
Right.
them. But it's that's our goal. Our goal is that it shouldn't be difficult for you to distribute your work directly to your readership.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be
It's
difficult for the readership to enjoy your work directly and to support
right.
you directly, So yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I just for anyone listening, like literally it's upload, it's your back, your blurb. I have been able to change the prices with
Yep.
like that, and you can set like a time, which is great. Like, oh, it's on sale for this week, and then I don't have to remember that.
Yes.
If we all know, like, to make it free on Amazon is a pain. It's just a headache, just dealing with them. And so anyway, I think it's a pretty cool solution to the direct sales. And then I'm going to speak with Spoken next week, and
Yeah, love Spoken. Yeah.
at Spoken, which is a great way for newer writers to get an audiobook, and then they can put it onto your platform, because you can't, there's other things with
Yes.
audiobooks as well. Like,
Yeah,
you
there
can't,
is. Yeah.
there's a
And
lot
actually,
of stuff.
I'm happy to kind of plug Spoken a little bit
Yeah.
too. So Spoken, they're an amazing team, super nice folks, and right now their product is completely free, which I think every author should take as much
Yes.
advantage of as possible. So something a lot of indie authors run into is their ebook is on KU, and we would never like we want you to make the best decision for yourselves. So if it's doing well on KU, if it works on KU, keep it there. So then they're stuck. They'd be like, well, I also want to sell direct. You're not allowed to when you're on KU, but you can then make an audiobook version of that, and that can be your direct sale.
Mm-hmm.
So where I'm going with this is on Spoken. It's right now an incredible tool that's free. So you can take your entire catalog of ebooks, create audiobooks. It's very fast. And then you have audiobooks of every single piece in your collection, and then you can do whatever you want with those.
Yeah.
You could go exclusive on Audible if you want. You could go wide with the audiobooks. It opens the door for you to go direct. And audiobooks are, they're taking off. Like, there's a lot more audiobook listeners than there used to be, and I think AirPods and cool inventions have helped with
I
that.
love
But
audiobooks.
me
Absolutely.
too. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Spoken, what we're going to talk about next week is you can actually now give a sample of your own voice, and then it will like take it, and then it's like you reading the book, but you don't actually have to read the book, which is great.
I know.
It's so
Anyone
cool.
who's tried to like narrate their own book,
it's horrible.
It's a passion project to say the least.
It's so bad. I lost my voice, and as a writer, you start thinking like, oh, maybe I should change that sentence. Like your brain just can't concentrate. It's terrible. It's terrible. So everyone listen.
I
we'll
can't
go
imagine
to
that.
Spoken. Yeah, you start editing. Somebody said they went to go see a writer, a pretty well-known guy, like a little bit older, and he was like doing a live reading, but then he started like editing. It was like one of his best-selling books, and he started like editing.
I can't imagine, because he'd be like, oh, this is not right.
This is no good. This is no good.
Yeah.
I need a different word. Just a second. It's terrible. So good plug for Spoken. Everyone go check them out before we talk. But we'll be talking to them. But I'll also go check out Curios as a reader and as a writer, because you have the free option here. And you even told me that when we first met, you're like, just try it.
Exactly.
Free.
Yeah, just try it. And you don't even have to upload, like if you're locked in KU, you don't have audiobooks yet or whatever it is, just try it with anything. It's not like necessarily like you can just try it so like kind of what you're mentioning is that it's easy. And that gets to the root of the tool is we want to have an open door that anybody can take. So here's an open door for you to go direct with, like in the truest sense of the word. And we want that to be an option for you. We want you to be successful no matter what. So if that's not on Curios, that's totally fine. But we want you to have an option. So, a publisher didn't pick you up, or you don't necessarily want to pay 75% or 60% Audible. Okay, here's an option. You now aren't going to be like locked into being like, oh, well, I guess I'm not going to be an author now. It's like you can still get your work out there in a meaningful way.
Absolutely.
And not to complicate things, but we do have a creator fund. It's usually worth mentioning the creator fund. So the creator fund is like our kind of creative method to do marketing. And basically, instead of us spending over $1 million on running ads on Facebook or Instagram or Google, where the money we spent would go to those companies. We just decided anybody that uses the platform, we will give you money. So the money we would spend on ads to attract you to use it, if you do use it, we'll just give you that money. Right now, what I'm calling season 1 of the Creator Fund is still in effect. And that's where we parked $1 million to give to creators who use our platform. The first tier is you get $50, and all you do is you upload and you promote your work. So if you upload a book and you promote it to your readership via newsletter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, you just provide the link of where you uploaded it, then you get $50 from us. You know, and that's really low hanging fruit. And then another one
that's like 50 ebooks.
That's exactly right. Or like, I don't know how many pages on KU read, you know, that kind of thing.
So many.
And then if the next tier is $100, and that's if you get 10 sales or if you get 100 free claims. So if you're giving something away for free, you get $100 for that. Or if you get 10 sales, you get 100. So for most authors, it's pretty easy to get to $150 of just reward from us. And that's both our way to say thank you for trying the platform out. And it's, you know, it's our marketing budget. So you promoting your own work helps promote us, and rising tide raises all ships sort of thing. But it does go to our ethos in that we want the funds to go to you. We want it to go to the authors, the creators of the content. I mean, for me, I'm not an author, but I'm an avid reader, and authors have given me like hours and hours of joy. And to see that, like, oh, these platforms are squeezing them, it's like, don't squeeze the people that give me joy, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we sit mission wise.
That's very cool. So I'm glad that you brought that up. I just think it's a really, anybody who's been overwhelmed maybe by direct sales, or just like wanting that and wanting a better experience for their readers, and to get in touch with their readers, but also to make money, because this is a business. I think that this platform is really like the number one place right now. I know some people have done really well in Shopify. I personally it just didn't work for me. So it's definitely something to try out, and it's accessible to new writers, right?
That's right.
So many things are like, okay, once I have 10 books written, right? But this is really accessible. So my book comes out at the end of May.
Oh, awesome.
So literally 30 days from the day that this will go out. So it's the 28th as this goes out in April. And I will be sending all my ARC readers there to download it there. So to get 100 people already ready. This is how it's going to go. And then they can tell, you know, me how easy it was. And then, you know, to send people there, and just little by little, you know, move people onto the platform. And it's like anything. It's getting people used to it, going somewhere else. I think
it's a chipper. We chip away at it. It's just always a slow process, but you wake up and you find, oh, I have a stronger email list now. I have better ways to contact them. I have more money because it was direct. Like all those things, it just over time, it adds up, and slow moving wheel, but it does work sort of thing. But that's exciting about the book. I didn't know that.
It'll be fun. And I mean, when I read in KU, when I used to be part of KU, it would have been so much fun to find a way for the author to contact me. Like that would have been great, you know?
Oh, for sure.
That was way back when Twitter was fun and you could like find authors on there.
Yes.
And, but this is a great way for, you know,
it makes the connection direct.
Them. Yeah.
And most authors, like so many authors, I want to give them my money. And same with music and the other categories that we're in. But it's like, I want to give them my money. If I'm giving my money to someone, I want it to go to them. Like they're the ones giving me the stuff. And then also, I don't know that a lot of consumers realize the cost of production. You know, for you to write a book, it's not free. You know, like no part of it's free. So it's even if you count the time to write the book as free, it's still not free. And that's something that most readers don't necessarily know. Maybe it's an assumption that it's free or whatever it is. They don't know the cost of creation. And so it's like, knowing that there's a cost of creation to give me the joy, I want to support, you know?
Yes. So, absolutely. Absolutely. So it's very cool. So we will have the links in the show notes below for both. I mean, people can, mostly writers listening, but they're always readers. So they can sign up both places, right? So very cool. Thank you so much, Greg, for coming on and talking to us about Curios.
It's my absolute pleasure. Anyone can reach me directly, greg@curios.com. Or if you hit the support channel, I am in there constantly. So
he's always answering my questions.
Yes.
Hey, Kat, how are you doing? Yes.
Like, great to hear from you. Yeah. So,
So thank you, Greg.
of course, happy to do it.